Hi, welcome everyone. So we are going to set again a new video where we are going to learn about the event handling with your graphical user interface, Java programs. So in this video we have already created up, like in the last video we have already created up a graphical user interface. We'll be using up that interface to write some event handling and put some event handling above that graphical user interface, and we'll see how the events work with the buttons, window labels, text fields, right? So this session is really going to be very short, quick session with the event handling, a very short video on this. So let's just start with the things. So here we have our Eclipse, and in this Eclipse we have already created up application. Last application we have already created up. Let's check that. It was my frame demo, right? So in this my frame demo we have a login frame. We also created another login frame named as login frame 1, where we saw how one approach was that you extend your JFrame class. The another approach was that you are going to create the instance of the frame, right? So both both approach are going to work in the different scenarios. How to create these frames, etc., you can watch the previous video. I'll set the link in the description of this video. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to remove this login frame. We don't want this login frame right now. I'm going to delete this class. I'll rename my login frame again as login frame from 1 to login frame. Okay, so this may raise an error. We can set it with the help of your IDE. So it will rename that file. Fine. So this is good now. Login frame. We'll go back to the application.java. It is looking for login frame. Okay, my constructor also needs to be renamed. So we are all set to run this application. I'll run as Java application. Right, so this is my GUI, right? A small frame which is accepting the username and the password. We have a submit button and we have a cancel button. So in this short video, we are going to click on the submit button, and whatever username and the password is entered, we have to accept at the backend, and then we are going to show a welcome message if the username and password matches our hard-coded username and password details, right? Okay, now right now if I click on cancel, nothing is happening. So how are we going to work on this? For this, we require up the event handling, right? So Java provides you interfaces which further gives you some methods to implement, right? Once you implement those methods, you get the event handlers, right? So how are we going to do it? Let's start with the things. So there are different approach to write up event handlers. We'll start with a basic one. The first one today will be a basic one. Next video, I'll try to show you how the anonymous classes works with the event handling. So here inside this public class login frame, I'm going to implement one of the event listeners, which is action listener, right? So action listener is an interface. We know that interface is like a contract. When you implement that interface on your class, it asks you to implement certain methods. You have to implement those methods, right? So we are going to do the same thing over here also. So the first thing, we'll import our action listener. You can see the path Java AWT event package and then action listener interface. Okay. And now it's giving an error on the login frame. The reason is it's saying you to add the unimplemented methods. This interface, the interface action listener, has a method action performed, right? So when you implement this method, any action performed on any component of your graphical user interface will send the execution. It will create an object of this action event and will send to this action performed method, right? I'll repeat it again. When you implement this method and you add the listeners to the component of your frame, right? Any event or any button click, right? Or any action that you do on your frame will be created in the form of an object of the action event type, right? And will be passed to the action performed. So with this action event object, you can know like who is the source of the event, right? When was the event clicked, right? I mean, when was the event created? Okay. and what coordinate was the button clicked, or what coordinate label was clicked, or on the frame you have made a click. So you suppose think of a like Microsoft Paint kind of application. If you want to create that kind of application, what are you going to do? You need the clicks of the buttons, right? Of the mouse click. That this is the start position, this is the end position. I have clicked at 2 places. I want to draw a line. So you need 2 points, right? And you will get those points only when you have some event handlers. So wherever the event handlers have recorded that, okay, this moment we have clicked it, at this point we have clicked it, right? Then I moved the mouse, went to the other place, and then I have clicked up again. So let's implement this method. Okay, so to implement this method, very simple. You can just take your mouse pointer to this error and then click on this add unimplemented methods, right? So this is one way. You can quickly add it. Here it is. Public void action performed, action event, right? You are not going to call this action performed. This action performed will be called when an event occurs, right? When any event is occurring on your system, right? So right now I'll say a button click, any mouse click is happening, on your form. Okay, so let's write a system.out.println some event, or let's write a button mouse click happened. Okay, so now as soon as the mouse is clicked, I want that this message should be displayed inside my console logs here. But if I run this program once again, I don't think so this is going to appear. The reason, there are no listeners for the event. You have to bind the listeners, right? You get the action performed, you can put all the logic that you want to run, all the things you want to happen when a mouse is clicked. You can write everything inside this action performed. But who is there to listen that whether a mouse has been clicked or not? Because you have to bind that listener thing with the components on which you are going to click. So what are the components I am going to click? Right now I will click only 2 things, submit button and the cancel button, right? So I will say, give me a listener. I'll ask Java to give me a listener, right? Whatever the current listener I get, I will add it to the submit button. So here I'm going to say btn submit dot add action listener, right? So I'm saying add the action listener, and where is the action listener? I have not created any action listener. So Java gives you a default action listener, right? Now what is this default action listener? When we read like previously Java object orientation, we understood like this is a current object only, right? How come this became the action listener? If you see, you have implemented the action listener on the login frame class. This is the instance of the login frame class, right? And therefore it is also an action listener. It is a login frame class with action listener, right? So now I said that, okay, implement the current action listener on the button submit. Fine. So button submit is kind of registered for the listening activity. As soon as you click the button submit, it will record it that, okay, this button is being clicked, right? So let's go back to our action performed. I have mentioned a system.out.println mouse click happened. Right. Okay. Let's go and run this application.java. I'll bring this GUI, a very small GUI. I'll click on the submit button. Don't worry, we have not written any code for username password. We are just going to see whether my click appears and gets recorded or not. Submit. See, mouse click happened. But if I click on cancel, nothing is going to happen. Why? The reason, you can guess it now, that yes, we have not registered the button cancel, right? So no one is going to listen whatever you do with button cancel, right? So now I'll say button cancel dot add action listener. So I'll register the current listener to this also. So current listener is registered for the button cancel, button submit. So but current listener is going to listen both submit and the cancel. Any activity happens on both of them, current listener will listen. Fine. Let's run it once again. I'll split it into 2 like tabs. Fine. Okay, so click on submit. Fine. Mouse click happened. Click on cancel. Yes, mouse click happened. But if you see, I cannot differentiate which button is getting clicked, whether it was submit or the cancel, right? So what I can do is I can put some if else conditions over here. If else condition that if you have clicked the submit button, let's print the submit button was clicked. If it was the cancel button, let's click the, let's say cancel button clicked. So you have all the information inside the E, right? So we are going to say system, or let's not take system, I'll directly put a condition over here. If E dot get source, so get source is going to return an object, right? Polymorphism. It's not going to return the button, it's going to return the object. Object is the supermost class. In case if someone is not understanding it's returning object, how can I know that whether it is a button or not? You need to just go back to the playlist of Java, just explore up the polymorphism topic, right? And inheritance and the polymorphism, you will get everything to know. Okay, so E dot get source, it will return me a object type, right? And I'm going to compare that reference. So this is actually returning a reference, right? E dot get source returns object, right? Object. So which is actually a reference. So that's why I'm not comparing it with like dot equals like we do in the string. A string compares that value, equals compares that value. We are comparing the reference only. So I'm saying that compare whether the reference which is returned by the get source method is equals to the button submit, right? So if it is equal to the button submit, that means button submit was clicked, right? And second, I can write, don't write a else and put everything in for cancel here, because there can be more buttons in later future, right? So we should write always else if. So else if E dot get source equals, that is btn cancel, right? So we got two conditions. Now I'll not write a mouse click happened, because I want to know which button was clicked. So here, if the reference is equal to the button submit, we can write submit button clicked, right? And else I'm going to say the other one is cancel button clicked. Fine. So let's run this once again. Okay. So submit button clicked, cancel button clicked. So whatever work you want to do on the basis of this cancel and the submit, you can write in their respective if else blocks, right? So I want to exit my window. I want to exit this whole program itself. So I'm going to write system.exit. This is one way you can exit it like this, system.exit. So a complete application would be exited. But since this is a GUI, let's go through the GUI methods. So I'm going to write fr dot, right? So sorry, what is the name of the frame? It's frame, frame. So frame dot dispose, right? So we are going to dispose this. We can dispose this, or I can try to call, we can take this dispose only, frame dot dispose. So as soon as I click on the cancel button, dispose, that means it is going to dispose this frame. And if none other frames are open, right? If none other part of the program is running, which can still keep the thread alive, then this whole object, this application would be exited, right? So let's run this. Okay, quick run. I'll click on the cancel and see after a couple of seconds, this thing gets exited, right? Okay, great. So now let's go over here. I want to get the data of the text fields and the password field. So I will write a string. I don't remember whether I took an email or the username. It was username. So string username is equal to, I want to get the data from the text field. Now see the benefit of keeping your text fields name in a convention, like a standard way. So you know, if that is a username, obviously it would be a txt username, right? Txt username dot get text. So this is how you get the text from the text field. Get text method returns a string, save it inside a string variable. But this doesn't works for a password field, right? So if I say password is equal to pwd password field dot get text. Get text is a deprecated method. If you see, this is a deprecated method and it is replaced by get password. Don't use the get text method for the password field. Very important point. So here I'll use a get password. Now there is a problem. Get password is returning me a character array, right? Char array. So now what can we do over here? Now I can do one thing. I can make an instance of the string, right? And this way I can change that typecast, or I can pass that char array to the string, and then a string can return me can give me the reference of its object, right? So if I just check over here, see, I have called the constructor of the string. It's not a method, it's a constructor, right? So string has a lot of constructors through which you can pass the value, create a clone of it. So we'll do some string session also. A string has a lot of methods, way to convert the values from int to string to integers, right? So we'll do all those things. Anyways, so I got the username and the password. Now what else? Let's think of show error if username and password are not admin/admin. Let's think of a hard-coded username and password. We are not forming any database connectivity right now. We'll do that also, right? We'll use the same project for our database connectivity. So show error if the username and password are not admin and admin. Okay, so what can we do now? So we'll compare it over here. If the username dot equals, that is double quotes admin, and username, sorry, password dot equals again admin, right? So if I run this set of condition, it will return me true if they both are admin and admin. But I want, if they are not admin, then I want to run some set of code, right? And from here I'll return it. So always do the negative part first, right? Error part first should be executed, and then if it is not fulfilling the condition, exit it from there. Don't take this thing after your positive side. Like you first check, okay, if it is admin and admin, you do like 20 lines of code, and then at the end you put a else, small 2 lines of code, which is like you kept a big if block and then a small else block, which is invalid. Put the smaller else part into your if, and then put a not operator here. So now if this is not admin and admin for the password, then what you have to do, write your view for error, right? And then from here you can return. Don't return a value, because this is void, right? Don't return a value, just return. I'm returning the execution. And if it is good, because if doesn't gets into this if block, means it is a valid user, right? So here I can show some message. So we are going to use a Option Pane for this, another GUI component, which is very good. So Option Pane dot show message dialog, right? So show message dialog, I'll say frame, and here I'm giving a frame. If you want to just keep it null for now, I'll tell why. Okay, null, and then message, I'm going to give a message welcome user name. Okay, welcome username. So if the username is admin, it will print like admin. If this is connected with the database, then you can have like multiple users, right? So then you can print with their usernames or their names. So welcome this name, and then you have certain more parameters, arguments, which you can give over here. So this one is, let me put some extra space to bring it middle of the screen, welcome username. And here I can give some title of the dialog box. Dialog box is a small frame kind of screen which will open with some message and the OK button, right? So here I want to print some title. So for example, I'll print JS and or Java demo. Okay, Java demo, let it be Java demo. And at last I'm going to give like what kind of icon you want to give on your Option Pane. Now once I give the icon, you see the demo, then you will get to know like what is a Option Pane, what does it looks like. So here I will say Option Pane. I'll use again the class and will pass a constant Option Pane dot information message, right? So that information message gives a I symbol, and let's run this. Let's run this code. So we have this username. I'm going to enter the username as admin and password as admin. Click on submit. See, it prints welcome username, right? So this is your option pane. This is the eye icon because of the information message constant you have passed, right? Option panes do not have any other like buttons by default. You can create them, right? You can add more buttons, okay, cancel, right? And fine. Now I can show the same option pane here also while it gives me an error. So I can write G option pane dot show message dialog, and here I'll write a null comma, and let's print some message. So invalid user, okay, and I'll put a top title here, Java demo, and here I'm going to add the constant G option pane dot show, not show, sorry, error message. I have to give a constant error message, right? Okay, great. So G option pane show message dialog, null, invalid user, fine, everything is good, and we are returning it from here. If I don't write this return, it will show me two dialog box. Once it will show me for invalid user, next time it will show me welcome username. That is a bug, right? You should not show the both dialog box for the invalid user. So from here the program should exit or return. So let's go and run this program. Okay, let's see what is the output now. So admin, I'll enter a different password, right? And I click on submit. So it shows me invalid user. Can you see like this frame is coming somewhere? If I just cancel this thing, run it once again, submit it blank. So since this value you have given as null, which is like you are giving the parent component. So when you give the parent component, this frame would be binded to that particular parent component, and it will come in the above that parent component only, right? So for example, here I'm going to give this as frame. So now the parent component for your G option pane is frame, right? So wherever the frame appears, the G option pane is also going to appear at the same location. Else, if you want to give this in the center of the screen, so put a null as a parent component, right? So now you have created up a GUI frame where you have set the created up an action listener, added the listeners to the submit button and the cancel. You accepted up the value from the username and the password. Now you also know how to take the value from the text field and the password field. Click on submit and you get a G option pane, right? You wrote some logic. This is not coming out of magic. You wrote some logic and you created the instance of the G option pane also. So you got this G option pane window, right? So it looks good to me. I hope it looks good to you as well. And in case if you learn something good from this small video, do write out your comments. And next session we'll learn the database connectivity. These are very small videos, the quick videos, and the detailed ones will come at the weekends, which will be still like going through the whole Java course, right? Soon I'm going to start up a certification course also, where you would be learning up the content for your OCJP exam, the Oracle Certified Java Professional, right? Okay, that's all for today's short video class. Thank you everyone. Have a nice day. Thank you. Bye.